You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Take it away, feeling too good to me. Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be. Here in this room, what did you do? I just can't get enough. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like home. Yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone. Yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. I just can't stop thinking about you.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that's on all the time, anytime. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all content. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all having a great evening. Hope the week's well for you. Episode 10, Season 14, Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. We are painfully recapping our loss to the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks as they are going on to the Final Four and facing Iowa. Before we get into that, there's a few things I'd like to say up front. I'm going to play a couple clips. I had the opportunity in the post presser before the game as Coach Freeze and some of the players on Lavender Briggs, especially after the win against Notre Dame. I was very disappointed. Lavender, who I believe who's had a great year, coming off the season, coming off an injury and, dealing with the confidence, especially getting back from that injury. And last year being a part of the team, but not playing. And then just to see kind of where she's been at this year and just picking it up. I'm just really proud of the season that she's had. And I was just disappointed to really see that she only had one question asked in the post presser. So I was very disappointed by that. We're still going to continue our NCAA tournament coverage for the men and women. I'll have Brendan Potts on with the Final Four preview. I think more than likely Diamond tonight gave a vague answer, but she has nothing really honestly to prove. I see her declaring for the WNBA draft in the next day or two. So I'm not surprised if it happens, but she has nothing to prove. I mean, she definitely had a bounce back year off of the injury, proved a lot of critics wrong, and just other than the foul trouble, which we'll get into, I can't really say more. Painfully, our season comes to an end. We lost 86-75.
What was that? What the hell was that? I'm sorry the H words and the D words aren't appropriate over the airwaves, but it's going to be today. I don't know how much more of this I can take. How in God's name?
This was round two of a rematch. We faced this team, South Carolina, at the beginning of the year. Didn't have Diamond Miller for 3 quarters. Hung with them, and then just fourth quarter was different. Coming into this game, I felt like the pressure was on South Carolina. We were playing with house. We were really playing with house money. I mean, honestly and truthfully, I think we just expected them to just go out there and just compete. They did that. I really thought we did a good job. Maryland came out the first quarter, came out swinging. I mean, we scored 6 points out of their first 5 turnovers. I mean, we did all the right things in the first quarter, but then second quarter, that's just when all hell broke loose. I will harp on this again. It's something that former head coach, now general manager of the Washington Mystics, Mike Thibault, has stated. He talked about it after the Washington Mystics at the time had an opportunity to get into the playoffs, and they didn't. And he mentions about the fouls, because there were some fouls. Fouls should never dictate the outcome of the game, but in this game, it did. Going into at the end of the first quarter, we were up 21-15. Maryland did everything to get them to. I thought about playing aggressive defense. We spaced the floor, and the fouls happened. We're not even in the second quarter. Cheyenne, Diamond, Faith, first 15 minutes, fouls. And I really want to harp on this point. In the presser, I don't like, and I'm going to keep saying this, narratives, Matt. You got to be careful when we're creating these narratives. Those girls, Abby and Diamond, were not complaining about the fouls. Maryland, I will agree. There were some very questionable, hacking and slapping wrists and grabbing. There was some of that too. But that's a physical team. In South Carolina, they have size, they have the length, and they're physical. I don't think it's one thing if this was every game, right? This is where I'm going to bring in Coach T's point. He said it's one thing if it was happening on a consistent basis, then you have a point. But if you're doing the same thing in the game over and over again, then I can't put that on the officials. It's the elephant in the room. It shouldn't be. Maryland doesn't have a post player. It doesn't have a Carmilla Cordosa. It doesn't have a Letitia Ahir or an Aaliyah Boston. It doesn't have that. Your tallest player is Diamond Miller, and she was out of foul trouble. Then you haven't developed your forwards. I mean, one's out for the season, Emma Charlton. Mila Reynolds has really truly not been developed this season. So you're practically just going out. I knew she was going to go out there with the lineup that she said. She used the top 8 rotation. I really, really thought that's just what killed us. That's what cost us the game, honestly. Because particularly those 3, they just played 6 minutes in the second quarter, and we took advantage of that. I mean, to the point where she had to use Alyssa Pizan and Gia Cook. And I was just very, very disappointed with. I agree with Brenda. It felt like she was coaching with one arm behind her back. Because South Carolina, they took an 8-point lead in the halftime. I mean, just going in halftime. I mean, Abby Myers, Brene Alexander. I mean, 5 players had 2 5. I mean, all had 2 fouls apiece, and I knew going in the halftime. I just knew it was just going to be a bad look.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
And I think with the foul trouble, South Carolina's game plan just became more effective. I mean, when you have Carmilla Cardosa and Leah Boston, 6'7" and 6'5", respectively, they combined for 18 points and 4 offensive rebounds. Excuse me. I really thought that we had 14 more fouls called. When you look, there were some ticky-tack fouls that were called, but I'm not going to sit here and say fouls were the reason we lost. You know, they also too had depth, and it killed us. You could just tell by the second quarter. We were exhausted. I mean, we're expecting, especially against a team that has size and length and can space the floor. You're asking a smaller team to do all that in 40 minutes, and with foul trouble. That's a recipe for disaster. I thought, to me, a majority, when I watched the games with South Carolina's opponents this season, a lot of points in the paint were limited. I felt like it worked, with Brenda, the first 10 minutes, the 3-quarter press, and it was effective. But once the fouls happened and you saw fatigue kick in, we exploited that. And I'm just very disappointed in that. You're not going to win many basketball games when your opponent has secured 25 offensive rebounds and had 23 second chance points. I mean, for the majority of the third quarter, we kept it down to 10. But I mean, every time we tried to go on a run, we had no answers for it. And that's 86 points they dropped on us. That's the highest they've had in 6 games. I mean, that's just a damn good basketball team over there. Say what you want. They're national champions for a reason. That's really that's how I really saw the game. I thought the last 2 fouls on Abby Myers was trash. Though that fourth foul was a phantom call. I don't know what that was. That was a horrible call. But in defense, if you're going to call something on one end, be consistent on the other. But at the end of the day, foul should not dictate the pace of a game. But gave him 75 points. So I really don't know what else I could say other than that this was it's tough. It's kind of unreal. The season ended yesterday. Because coming into this season, when you lose 85% of your scoring from last year, Ashley Owusu and Angel Reese, Ashley's going to transfer to Virginia Tech, and Angel is now at LSU, and then Mimi Collins goes to NC State, and Chloe Bibby declared for the draft, and Katie Benson declared for the draft, and Shanice Lewis transferred. Diamond wasn't fully healthy, and didn't have Lavender Briggs even though she was on the team. It's just interesting to see where how this offseason was, and especially after those transfers, I was really disappointed. And I'm just going to call it like I see it. There was a Washington Post article that came out in the midst of the transfers, and it painted Brenda as this bad coach. Um, and again, that's why I say narratives matter. We know how some journalists like to perceive, because tone matters. I thought the tone of the article, it came across as like the players were in the wrong for transferring. Um, there's always two sides to the story. It's their side and there's Brenda's side. Um, there wasn't a lot of this last year. I'm just going to keep it real from what I saw. Um, I don't think it had to do with NIL. Yes, there were some things maybe she could have refrained from. There's just some things that she could have rephrased it a lot better. Maybe she could have cleaned up some answers, but the way Coach Freeze was painted, kind of like, well, why can't she not keep top recruits, and why can't what's going on at College Park? And I thought I'm just going to just be honest, the way they handled Ashley's condition, where it almost damn near killed her, I thought that was really disappointing. I also too think we need to give Coach Freeze the respect. When you come into the season with 9 new players, a lot of people weren't fond of where Maryland. They predicted Maryland to finish 4th. When you have 9 ranked victories, 5 of those against top 10 opponents, say what you want, but this team has defied the legacy of what it is to be a Maryland Terrapin. Now, as we reflect on, again, to the offseason, I am a little concerned because I think we're going to lose some players. Lavender staying, Brene staying, Faith staying. But I fear we might lose a couple freshmen. I've noticed something just doesn't feel right. I feel like we're going to lose some freshmen. This class we have coming in next year, I think it's going to be star-studded. Riley Nelson, Emily Fisher, got a prospect from New York. Hawa, I cannot pronounce her last name. Please forgive me. We got Ava McKinney from McDonough High School. Summer Bostic started a semester early. I think you got a good group coming in, with Abby and Diamond most likely declaring for the draft. And then potentially we could lose. If I'm the way I see it, we probably will lose 3 out of the 4. I'm just predicting. I think Brenda will have some work to do in the transfer portal. What I do think she needs to work on is she needs a shooter off. She needs more shooting off the bench. You're going to get a healthy Allie Kubrick back. Emma's coming back next year. You can look for the guard. I think you need a wing and a post in the transfer, especially to help our recruit coming in the next year. So give this team their flowers. It was a good year. Everybody was bought in. It wasn't an I thing. It was a trust. It was a we thing. Everyone put the trust into each other. At first, it was very sloppy, but as the season progressed, things looked pretty good. And I'm very proud of this team. I mean, no one picked this team. Just like with the men, they picked West Virginia to beat Maryland. Nobody even picked Maryland to even sniff March Madness, the men's side. And same thing with the women. No one even thought we would get to the Elite Eight. Hell, they wouldn't even think we'd even win 20 games. I think you had a really competitive non-conference schedule and the conference schedule as well. I knew things clicked for this team, especially after the loss against Iowa. We came in there with a 6-game, I think it was a 5 or 6 game winning streak on their court, and they kicked their ass. And I remember distinctively in the recap video, I said, "There's no way Iowa's coming to College Park and playing like that again," and gave it right back to them. That's how I knew this team was destined to get to March Madness, and I called it. They got to the Elite Eight and was going to get South Carolina, even though it's how the game looked, how the game felt. I felt like the fouls did dictate the pace of the game, but at the end of the day, it's no excuse. A loss is a loss. Take the good with the bad, and they exceeded all the expectations. I think they really silenced a lot of critics, a lot of doubters. I'm really curious to see where this team will be ranked going into next year. I have them actually. I see they're at least a top 15, top 10 ranked team, in my opinion. Before we get into final message, let's get into the sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, and that is Zagnif Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like to dress like you're famous? Then why don't you mosey on down to Zagnif Apparel, where you can and you will dress like you're famous.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC. Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
It's 15% off using my code BigNate15. 15% off using my code BigNate. I apologize. I said that so wrong. But let's get into the last topic of the episode, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, final message.
Incoming message.
Thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
Really quick, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Maryland Sports Blog, Brian, who is the founder, I would say he's the manager, he's the founder of Maryland Sports Blog, Hardowski. If I mispronounce your last name, Brian, I apologize. This was my first year in writing for the Maryland Lady Terrapins. It was fun. I got also, along the way, I got to meet some great people. Shout out to Damon Brooks Jr., who's writing for the Times. Dylan, Andrew, Olivia, Ian Decker, Sam June. Sam June, other people, and quite a few others. I would also really like to give Rose DePaula, who is the PR person for the Lady Terrapins, for giving me the opportunity to be a part of the Zoom meetings pre and post game. That was a great opportunity. Next year, my goal is to go to a few games and cover the games in person. And hopefully, if Maryland has the same route they had this year, I would like to also be a part of that come March Madness. We hosted the first two home games. Um, but I definitely would be there in person next year. So um, thank you for all of you guys for the support. And just giving me the opportunity to show and to display what I can bring to the table as a future sports journalist. I really do appreciate that. And again, I keep saying it. I got to give my homeboys, Cameron, Marcus Elliott, got to give them flowers for really giving me the idea to start all this, uh, to make videos. But more importantly, I got to give Sean Spencer, who's the founder of Let's Talk Football. Um, we've had this conversation numerous times. He's said that I have the gift, and I think a lot of it came from him. Um, just the just watching what he does, and the amount of shows that he's created and he's produced, and to see where I've learned much from him. Even if there has been some furniture moving, uh, not metaphorically speaking. Also, I got to give him some flowers as well. Um, but um, it's over painfully. Um, I'm going to go outside and cry now. Um, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But this was fun. I can't wait to do it again next year. Go Terps! I'm proud of each and every one of these young women. Great season. Even got to interact with a few. Just saying great game, different things like that, and game MVPs. But I did want to close it off with this. I had the opportunity in the pregame for South Carolina, ask Coach Freeze a question, and I also had to ask Cheyenne, Faith, and Diamond because Lavender was on the team with them last year. Abby and Alyssa were not with us, so I kind of felt like the team was more with them. So I'm gonna play these clips for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. It's much appreciated. Thank you for the support you've given me in this channel. I really do really appreciate it. Be tuned for future episodes. Brendan Potts will be joining me with the Final Four preview. We've got a couple other episodes coming out. She'll be out soon. Season 14, I most likely will finish it with the NCAA tournament for the men and women. So that's where most likely we're heading with that. But until then, just stay tuned. Continue to like, comment, subscribe, share. You can also check out Big Nate Sports Talk podcast with Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I just appreciate the support, ladies and gentlemen. But here are the clips of me asking the Coach Freeze and the players questions about Lavender Briggs. And I'm still working on framing my questions and getting to the point, ladies and gentlemen. So if I sound long-winded, I'm sorry. But all right, I'm out. Peace. Lavender was on the team but didn't play, and this year, working her way back from injury into what she's been able to provide for the team, working with her confidence back to injury, and what she's been doing this turning run. Just what have you seen from her, and uh, what is it like to be a teammate?
I mean, I could talk on it first. I knew Lavender a little bit before she had come to Maryland, so I knew what she could do on the court. It's just very unfortunate that the injuries that she had throughout college, but having her come to Maryland was really excited. She's an awesome person, awesome basketball player, so it's just really nice to see when people come off injuries and do so well. I mean, seeing Diamond as well coming back from injury, like it's just awesome, and you just want
yourself.
Myself too, coming back from injury. It's just cool to be able to support people who are doing so well after injuries.
Yeah, just to piggyback, I know in the beginning of the season, Live was dealing with a lot of confidence issues. So just to see her bounce back from all that, and now she's thriving, and I'm just really excited for her. I mean, we're friends on and off the court, so yeah, she's doing good, and I can't wait to see what else she does.
And to piggyback off the piggyback, I'm just happy for Lab. She came to play at the right time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather have her have that little moment in the beginning of the season than now. So I think she's bringing a big piece for us.
has been able to accomplish this year for the team?
Lavender's been huge, and I have really enjoyed, our staff's enjoyed just the growth to watch Lav, and it hasn't been easy coming off an injury like you mentioned, and she was slow to kind of get comfortable within our system. But what I love about Lav is she's trusted the process. She's just continued to keep putting her head down and working. She loves the game, loves to get better, and is a huge X factor for us. I thought just her second half, I mean, really against Notre Dame, I mean, she gives us so much from a defense, rebounding, scoring that is huge for us.
Has been able to accomplish this year for the team?
Lavender's been.
But they don't know, they don't know, they don't know. Nobody knows but us how we roll, how we roll. Nobody knows what we got but us, but us. Let them keep talking, let them believe that they know, 'cause they don't, no they don't, no they don't.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything you do.